list. You ready for your top 10 albums?
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, top 10 albums. Starting off with my honorable mention, I have Boz and the Hicks with Metal Chronicle?
Melochronica.
Melochronica.
Amazing album.
It came out earlier in the year, so that's always like a little bit harder. Remembering the albums that came out in like January, February, March, April. You tend to remember things from the latter end of the year, the middle of the year. But this is definitely one of the more memorable projects to me for this year.
1000%.
Boss has always been a very harmonic, melody-driven artist, but with the collaboration with the Hicks, we get a more polished vocalist that really just enhanced the overall message of this record. So if you haven't already checked it out, make sure to check out Boz
Please
and
check
the
that
Hicks.
out. That was a great album. Yeah.
And starting it off with my number 10, I have Earl Sweatshirt, Live, Laugh, Love. Now, this wasn't my favorite project from Earl Sweatshirt, but I think it did enough to make the top 10. One thing I really did enjoy from this album was it felt like a full circle moment, kind of just looking at the totality of Earl's career, where he started with where he started with Odd Future and albums like Doris to I Like Shit and I Don't Go Outside to ultimately Live, Laugh, Love. We see a complete pivot in his character arc from a young man to an older man now with his, I'm not sure if they're married or not, but
Are getting married or
yeah, now
engaged,
with
whatever.
with his woman,
Right.
they have a child,
Yep.
multiple children actually. So he's really just starting to have a change of worldviews that
Mindset.
are complete, yeah, worldviews, mindset that are completely apparent in his music. So it's just nice being able to witness an artist that you grew up listening to and actually got to watch grow up alongside you in a sense as well. Kind of just witness their trajectory where they end up. So shout out Earl Sweatshirt, Live, Laugh, Love. One thing I will always just warn anybody before going into Earl Sweatshirt is that it is a niche genre of like lo-fi hip hop music that might not be everybody's vibe. So go in there with open mind.
True.
So number 10, Earl Sweatshirt, Live, Laugh, Love. Number 9, I have the current East Coast representative, West Side Gun, with Heels Have Eyes. Now, when I think of West Side Gun, I don't immediately think of introspection. I don't really immediately think of like depth. I think of like coke rap. But with this, not only did we get the coke rap, but we got some more introspective records and analysis as well. Overall, great production. I'm not the biggest wrestling fan, but I've been told that there is a lot of connection between the album cover and the overall theme of the album too. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't already. West Side Gun, Heels Have Eyes. Number 8, I have Cushion OJ2 by Wiz Khalifa.
Great album by Wiz.
Great album to me as well. And to me, the biggest selling point for this is its replay value.
1000%.
You can, again, came out earlier in the year, but it isn't one of the songs that isn't one of the albums that I kind of just forgot about. Yeah, threw away, lost in the wayside, because there's songs on there that fit any and every moment in a sense. So shout out to Wiz Khalifa for holding it down. Cushion OJ's 2. Number 7, I have Alfredo 2. So this is a significant drop for where I had Freddie Gibbs last year. I had him top 3 last year. But hey, you can, when you drop Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers one year, you're allowed to drop GNX. When you give me your introspective, storytelling driven album, you're allowed to follow that up with, hey, I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
I just want to rap about women and how I get them. Got them. Got you. Okay with that. But make sure you're rapping. And did. So
yeah, he did.
Alfredo 2, definitely a great listen, easy listen. magnificent production from The Alchemist as well. Alchemist has had a lot of great runs this year. So shout out to Alchemist. Shout out to Freddie Gibbs with Alfredo 2. Number six is where it started getting a little tricky for me
Mm-hmm.
because this is number 6. I have Starline by Chance the Rapper.
Okay.
I said it got a little tricky for me because here I chose the opposite of what I did for Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs, I chose his rapping over his content.
Mm-hmm.
Chance, I'm going to choose his content over his rapping. I really like the messaging and just the vibrato displayed by Chance the Rapper off of coming off such a stinker and having to just listen to his own fans kicking his back. And he came in with, I'm still a spiritual person. I still feel my role in this music thing goes beyond just using an entire album to talk about how people have been kicking my back in for my last album being so bad. He took it a step forward and said, "Oh, here's the problems I have with the music industry. Here are the problems that I have with the church." And I love that. So I feel like that's what music is supposed to be. It's supposed to be message driven. So when a person actually decides to put their message first, I believe they should be rewarded. So I'm gonna throw Chance in at the number 6 for Starline. Number 5, I have disc 2 of 2, Bryson Tiller, Solace and Vices. So Bryson Tiller is another artist who hasn't been as active as of late, but and actually I didn't hear about this project until I saw him on TikTok. But I'm glad I was able to see him on TikTok because going back and being able to listen to this project made me excited for that second release. So
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't already, Bryson Tiller released disc 2 of Solace and Vices. We're still waiting for that disc 1. So
Making your top 5 with just a disc 2, that's impressive.
well, because disc 2 was an entire project on its own. So I'm like, that's like when you were talking last time, you wanted to include Lana as one of your
The deluxe.
trying to include
SOS.
just the deluxe because back in my day, I thought a deluxe was 2 to 3 extra songs, not 22. That is another project.
Amen.
So I'm gonna treat it as such. So shout out to Bryson Tiller. Looking forward to disc 1 of that project. I'm expecting it's going to be a lot more R&B focused, as disc 2 is very much more hip hop rap centered.
For sure.
Number 4, I have Joey Badass, Lonely at the Top. Now, while he did not make my top 5 rappers of the year, I did thoroughly enjoy the project. I mostly didn't include him in my top 5 because I just don't hold as much weight on that East Coast West Coast battle, because what did it really do? The answer is nothing.
I agree.
It didn't do anything besides put Kai Cash on the map
Right.
and some other East Coast rappers back on the map. Other than that, I don't really think it propelled Joey in any direction, good or bad. Now, could that just be the fault of his label not profiting off of it? Yeah. So I will blame the label on that, but 2, it was the battle that nobody asked for. And even when I'm looking at the title, Lonely at the Top, it doesn't seem like he's over it yet. He's still on that shit. So shout out to Joey Badass though. Great music. Glad to have you back. Number 3. Now we're in top 3.
Top 3.
Number 3. Technically not an album. It's a mixtape. But I have The Good, The Bad, The Dollar Menu by Ray Vaughn. Now, this dropped maybe January or February this year. Really early this year.
Yeah.
But when I tell you again, I believe when an artist uses their music to tell their story, spread a message that can be resonated or felt beyond them, I feel like they should be rewarded, because I feel like that's what music is for. And for Ray Vaughn to kind of come into the game initially on just introspection, I believe he showcased that perfectly, not only with the title but just throughout the entire message of the album as well, or the mixtape.
Who
What's the difference?
knows this thing?
Yeah, who knows? But
By the way, this dropped April 25th, 2025.
oh, I don't know why I
So
said January.
it was kind of later on.
Yeah, a
But
little bit later on. Huh,
yeah,
okay, but again, tremendous project.
tremendous. Yeah, introspective. All
Tremendous
that.
project.
Yeah.
Yes, he was also involved during the East Coast West Coast battle, holding it down for the West Coast. So if you haven't checked it out already, please make sure to check out TDE's own Rave On, the good, the bad, the dollar menu. Number two, I have God Does Like Ugly by the Clips. Now,
Wait. God does like ugly by who?
I have God Does Like Ugly by JID. It's a lot of God references as of late, but yes, Jid, I really did want to put him at number one.
Your number one rapper.
He is my number one rapper, and he was very, very, very close to being my number one album. I loved everything I got from this project. I feel like we're really starting to see Jid come into his own, and like you said, I feel like at this point in his career, if he was to drop a collaborative project with J. Cole, he would be the biggest thing on this planet when it comes to hip hop. But unfortunately, we don't have that. So he's sitting at my two right now. Because as good as that project was, unfortunately, Two Brothers was stepping this year. They had the best, if not the greatest, rollout in hip hop history.
True.
They talked to pretty much everybody
Everybody.
you would want them to talk to,
Right.
holding the culture down.
Yep.
Tiny Desk. They was on Joe Budden. They was everywhere.
Hmm.
The Clips did their thing this year, and when you listen to the album, you're like, oh yeah, this is the album of the year. So when Let God Sort 'Em Out came out, you're kind of like, I wonder if there's going to be a better project this year. And there was a lot of strong contenders, but none of them really did it like that. So Let God Sort 'Em Out by the Clips is my number one probably listen to album this year.
1,000%.
I can't seem to let it go.
I can't either.
As much as I despised the Pharrell features in the beginning, it grew on me because everything else is just so fire. So shout out Pharrell for amazing production, and shout out to Pusha T and Malice for rapping.
All right. Top 10 albums from 10 to 1.
10, I have Earl Sweatshirt, Live, Laugh, Love. 9, West Side Gun, Heels Have Eyes. 8, Cushion OJ 2, Wiz Khalifa. 7, Alfredo 2, Freddie Gibbs. 6, Starline by Chance the Rapper. 5, Solace and Vices, Disc 2 by Bryson Tiller. Number 4, Joey Badass, It's Lonely at the Top. Top 3, The Good, the Bad, the Dollar Menu by Ray Vaughn. Number 2, God Does Like Ugly by JID. And number 1, Let God Sort 'Em Out by the Immaculate Clips.
Very, very solid list as well for your albums. And now let's get into my list. My top 10 albums of this year. So I want to start my top 10 albums off with some honorable mentions as well. Xavier, Via Dolorosa by Miles Minnick, I feel like was a great project, and I would have to give that some kudos. Also, Life is Beautiful by 2 Chainz and Larry June. I think that was the best Alchemist beats, and I'm still waiting to hear the Erica Badu and Alchemist project. But as far as what has been released this year, I think that was the best I heard Alchemist as far as what those beats were. And then I have to give a honorable mention also to, I forgot. Rimble, Juco. He released a project called Juco, and I just love how Rimble raps. I think those were great beats, and I think his flow and his punchlines and what he does best was on full display on that Juco album mixtape, whatever you want to call it. But those are my honorable mentions. So let me get to my top 10 now. At 10, I have to put Kush and OJ's by Wiz Khalifa, like you said. Not only an album with great music, but an album that had insane replay value as well. An album from Wiz Khalifa that you really couldn't forget. Somebody in Wiz Khalifa that we saw got get to the highest heights around 2013, 2014, and for him to still be around right now feeding his base and feeding the streets with great music. I think it was lovely to see in our year 2025. Not a lot of acts have that amount of longevity, and the music that Wiz Khalifa makes stands the test of time, and his flow and and how he raps also stands the test of time. It was great to see in 2025. Number 9, "Lonely at the Top" by Joey Badass. Now this album just came out, so it's kind of hard to judge it, but I already know it's a top 10 album this year. I really enjoyed it in the listens that I've had so far. I think that he definitely solidified what his year was and how his year was with this album after the West Coast East Coast beef. Um I think there was great beats on here. He rapped flawlessly as well. Some of these records I really enjoyed that are constantly in my playlist, but I definitely would have to say this is a top 10 album. Number 8 is Kiari by Offset.
Oh wow.
Fire. I think that the beats, Offset rapping at a high level, um, it really had some um moments to me that were really incredible and showed just who Offset was. When we were having that discussion of who was the best Migo RIP to take off, there were discussions when people were talking about Offset in that vein and in that level. So I do have to give credit to Offset for, who he is as well. Um so shout out to Offset with Kiari. Number 7, Reconstruction by Lecrae. First Lecrae project that I had listened to front to back. Um, Christian rap artist, you can say, but I do think that you should classify this Reconstruction album as just a hip hop album, and a hip hop album slowly. Lecrae rapped at a high level on this album. The features were impeccable as well. Who he selected to be on some of the records was great to see and great to hear. And the messaging, although positive and although he's talking about his story, I don't feel like it was something that was too like what you would expect from a Christian rap album. That's why I would just solidify it as a hip hop album with a great message. And I think that his rapping definitely was great and impeccable on this album. And the messaging was the messaging, and we need to push more positivity in hip hop instead of negativity. And Lecrae showed you guys how to push positivity and make great music as well, which not a lot of people can do. He had a number one album in 2014, which I didn't know about, but in 2025, you can see he's another artist that has stood the test of time. Number 7, Reconstruction. Number 6, I Took It Personal by Nick Grant. Nick Grant is one of my favorite up and coming rappers. His similes, his punchlines to me are some of the best in the game. And I think that I Took It Personal as an album is something that I can listen to as a rap album front to back without any skips and enjoy the rapping ability that Nick Grant displayed on that album. I think that he's 1000% one of the best up and coming rappers in the game right now. And I Took It Personal definitely showed me flashes of greatness of what I see in Nick Grant myself. So shout out to Nick Grant for another great project that he released. Number 5, Alfredo 2. We've talked about Freddie Gibbs nonstop, what he did last year, and now what has propelled him to do what he did this year was Alfredo 2 with Alchemist Production. I think that this was a great sequel to what Alfredo 1 was. There was conversations and discussions that this album had brought of what was the best out of the series. I still do think it's Alfredo 1, but nonetheless Alfredo 2 was great rapping, great beats, and it has to be in your top 10 albums when it comes to rap albums. So it's my number 5. Uh 1000%. Now, this is not only a rap list. I want people to know that. And I'm going to get to that when I get to my number 3. But I do think that these rap albums have been the best albums that I've heard, with R&B having a light year. But I am an R&B head. Trust me when I say that. Number 4, God Does Like Ugly by JID. Um, like we've talked about, who has rapped better than JID? I really don't. I really can't say that there has been 4 rappers. He's in that top 4 for me that have rapped better than JID this year. But even with this album and how well he's rapped, I still feel like there's still a little piece missing, and I can't quite put my hands on what it is. I'm usually able to identify what more a person has to do to get to that next level, and maybe it is just that J. Cole and having that recognition from somebody who was in the quote unquote top 3 of rappers for the last 15 years. Maybe dropping that collab album with him may put you in a different position, but I still do think that there's something missing, and this album was incredible. It was incredible rapping. Jid gave us different sounds and flows. He was melodic on this album as well, and rapped at a high level. So it definitely, to me, is a top 5 album this year. Number 4 for me, but it's not in the top 3. And let me tell you my number 3. Beloved by Giveon. Beloved by Giveon was a surprise to me for somebody who has not listened to a full Giveon album in totality. Beloved, with the songwriting, with the melodies and the runs that Giveon performed on this album, caught me by surprise. He said that his ex had a backup plan, said that in a melody style form, and made me believe it. There were very, very incredible records on there. There was records where Giveon wasn't taking accountability at all. We have heard that he is a horrible person to be in a relationship with. I don't know. I don't know.
I've heard that as well.
I've heard we've heard he did some stuff.
But you also have Kiari on this list.
Right. I also have Kiari on this list, which is a very, very problematic album. And when my artists are problematic, put that problematic attitude into the music, and I think Giveon did that perfectly. There were some great, great songs on this album. It did not leave my playlist. It did not leave my played albums. It did not leave some of the songs that I hold in high regard in the year 2025. So Giveon Beloved is definitely on my list, and it's top 3. Number 2. And we back. Starline by Chance the Rapper. And when it comes to rapping and an elevation of pen, I feel like Chance the Rapper has gotten better. It's not the jump that I've seen from acid rap to Coloring Book. I felt like Chance just became a totally better rapper in the sense from acid rap to Coloring Book, but I do see an enhance in pen. I don't see a drop off or fall off in pen when you have records like the one he had with Vic Mensa, when you have records like Pretty that are introspective, talking about how he lost kind of the love of his life and he had to view himself. When you have the record with Jay Electronica talking about, just, needing the water, and you're talking about what water you need, and you need that God-given, water that he provides. And Jay Electronica's verse was flawless on that. When you have the Letters record, when he has the letter to the church, when you have the No More Old Man, when he's talking about maturation process and what they expect from you, and how you want to live a long life, and how you're supposed to live a long life. When you're talking about certain things with the record after that when he's talking about black people and their issues as well. There's a lot of different messaging that Starline provides, and Chance the Rapper to me is one of the best of this generation when it just comes to artistry. So of course I love the music on Starline, but I also love the messaging, the lyrics. So what does that bring you? It brings you a top 5 album of this year, and top 2 in my opinion. This messaging and everything is right up my alleyway. And I thank Chance for dropping. Don't take a 6 year hiatus no more, bro. If you drop an album that everybody don't like, get right back in the studio, because you are that talented to get right back in the studio and drop some amazing things. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else Chance has in store. But this Starline album got Chance fans eating for a far long time. And at number one, the same number one as you, Xavier, Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clips. And I listened to this album and I just stop and say that's just too good. Like there's not many words I can say about the rapping, about the messaging, about the high level beats, about every in every part of this album to me was great. And has a song of the year to me, FICO, on it. Has the verse of the year to me by Malice, from FICO on it, and the pre-released records on there, So Be It and Ace Trumpets, are impeccable. Chains and Whips, which we saw on a leak, was even better when we heard it on the album. POV is an amazing record, all things considered. You had an amazing Nas verse on there. Like, what more can you ask from the Clips? Let God Sort 'Em Out was an amazing, impeccable album that needs to be in a museum somewhere. I think that Let God Sort 'Em Out is one of the best albums I've ever heard. And when we're looking back at that album in the next 5 years, it's going to be one that's heralded. And like you said, one of the best rollouts of all time. And what did they do during some of these rollouts? They sat with Complex, they sat with Fat Joe and Jadakiss, and during those times they listened to records and they let the music speak for themselves. When you can stand on music as effortlessly as the Clips did, this album is older. They only made small adjustments to what Let God Sort 'Em Out was in 2024 when they were supposed to release this under Def Jam, and Def Jam was tripping. And wanted the Kendrick verse to be censored, among other things that happened with this album. Let God Sort 'Em Out definitely has stood the test of time, especially if this is old music. It sounds new, it sounds vibrant, it sounds like something that we just needed in the hip hop landscape. For Malice to be like 52 years old is insane, and close some of these songs like he did. Pusha T didn't miss a step, and that's why it has to be the best album this year. It came from me and Xavier. So let me read it. I'm actually not gonna read it because I got this all in a I got it all messed up. But those were my top 10 albums of the year. Shout out to all the artists that have dropped something